and you're out there and you're being persistent, you're knocking on doors and you're making it happen, you can literally start with zero money, go knock a door, turn that into revenue, and make a profit and actually support yourself on it, which is the most amazing thing in the world, that you can go from your own mouth, your own knock, to a profit extremely quickly in this business. That's why it makes it extremely attractive.
What's up, everybody? I've got an exciting guest today at the Blue Collar Boardroom. This guy is somebody like me, man. He's got an incredible story about how he got in the roofing business from his principal. One of the coolest stories I've ever heard in my life. But since the age of 16 years old, this man's been selling roofs. He's the definition of blue-collar entrepreneur. He's made money in real estate. He's got his own supply company, roofing company that really took over a local market. One of the first to really be a storm catcher or a modern-day local roofer, per se, by dominating on Google and becoming top of mind when it comes to the brand. Brian Mcsteen took over in an area that really has been booming over the last little bit. Mcallen, Texas, my man. So welcome to the Blue Collar Boardroom, dude. I got a lot of big questions for you, man. How you doing today?
Good, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Hell yeah, bro. So tell these guys how you got in the roofing business.
That's a crazy story.
Hold the mic up here.
Yeah, I'll hold the mic. Okay. So I got in the roofing business. I was in high school. I had a teacher talking down to me, and I really didn't respect the way he was speaking to me. So I said, "Look, if you want respect, you have to give it." And he's like, "I don't like the way you're talking to me. And go to the principal's office." So okay. So I go to the principal's office, and the principal actually was like, "You know what? You're right. Respect is a huge thing." And you know what? I think, the other day somebody came in here and dropped off a flyer for a job, and I think you'd be really good at it. Here's a flyer, said coolest job ever, pays, $10 an hour plus commission. I'm like, well, that sounds great. I'm a freshman in high school. That sounds wonderful. So I go apply. I sit down. It was the real deal. I loved who I'd met. Real salesman. His name was Pete. Company called National Energy, Lombard, Illinois. And the guy back then, he had all his own training program, all his own training videos for his sales guys. And we're talking in 2001.
Wow.
And I was so impressed by that. And they had a canvassing team of between, on average, 15 and 25 guys.
Nice.
And we would, I got hired right away. And we came in every single day, and for 20 minutes, we did training on the products and on sales, and we'd pitch each other. And it was just a big group of guys. We'd go out in the neighborhoods every single day. He'd mark off, on a diagram map, saying, this is the streets you're going to hit, and when you finish this, you're going to go here and finish here. And he's like, this is what I expect of you. And he really pushed us and held us accountable, but we felt like, well, if I don't actually produce, this 13 leads today that he's expecting, he's gonna fire me. I actually like this job. And I found out that, that was where I figured out that this is where I shined. This is what I was meant to do. And so, when I was younger, I was kind of quiet. So I didn't know that door to door would be something that would really be for me. Later on in life, but I learned that it actually, opened me up as a person. You learn a lot knocking doors. You learn about communication, how to communicate, whether it's, through body or eyes or through your voice. And, that really grew me as a person, doing door to door. And I ended up doing that for about 2.5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I learned, and what I learned was the value of a lead. A value of
amen.
And
what I'm most
value of an
about.
Opportunity, and the value of that opportunity, in truly understanding that, when I end up later going into the roofing, as a roofing salesperson, I really nurtured that lead. And I was customer centric, and I did everything in my gut possible to make sure that lead, and that customer was taken care of. And that's really what, kicked me off to be successful in this business.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I really have noticed your growth over the years. You were putting out, big stuff on magazine, but my buddy David's like, dude, Brian is killing it getting to the top of Google. He's figured out how to get to the top. So when did you start playing with SEO and trying to manufacture all these leads through Google?
So there's kind of a backstory here. So when I was in Arizona, I had an office in Arizona and had a bunch of sales guys. Everything was going great until, someone actually we weren't taking down payments for jobs, and some guy ended up taking like $160,000 in first checks. We ended up finding out and being, kind of too late. And I was just starting to get the office going because I got a text one day, and the text said, "Hey, SEO, we can get you leads, blah, 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 blah." So I'm like, whoever responds to those text message marketing campaigns. Well, I did. And this guy who was SEO, professional, is so to speak, whatever. I had no idea what SEO even was at the moment, and so I was like, "Hey, what can you do?" He said, "I can get you ranked 1 on Google." 1, and he said, "I'll work every single day. You give me $1,000 a week, and I'll work every single day to make sure that you're ranked 1." He had me ranked 1 within 1 month, and the phone just started ringing. Well, with that guy, stealing all the money from us, and I just started getting, to understand what SEO was. The phone started ringing, and my business partner at the time was like, he was trying to blame the money that stolen on me. You hired him, even though we hired him together. That ended up breaking our business relationship up, and all my money was invested in the company, and so I'm like, well, he basically froze all the accounts, shut everything down because we're business partners. Well, said, "Do you want the attorneys?" I'm like, fuck, that's where all my money is. How am I going to fight this guy? So I'm like, I need to make a decision. So I'm sitting here in Arizona. I'm like, I have no money. I have like $500 to my name, literally. And I was like, I need to make a decision. And so I'm like, well, Mcallen, Texas just got hit with a hailstorm. And and I was working with, which is now my business partner now. His name's Jose Alfredo Villalobos. He was there with me. It's like, well, we have to do something. Well, let's go to Mcallen. Nice. The town got destroyed, because we already knew at the time, because we've been working together, since 2006, that we can create, in this business, there's opportunity there. If you can turn that opportunity into revenue, you're a success. And so as long as you know how to do that, and you're out there and you're being persistent, you're knocking on doors and you're making it happen, you can literally start with zero money, go knock a door, turn that into revenue, and make a profit, and actually support yourself on it, which is the most amazing thing in the world, that you can go from your own mouth, your own knock, to a profit extremely quickly in this business. That's why it makes it extremely attractive. And so I ended up having to go to Mcallen, went to Mcallen. We spent the first 2 weeks. We're like, we're not going to set a roofing company. There's no way we're going to do that. Let's do a joint venture. So let's team up with somebody, say, look, you're local, you're small, you don't know how to handle this many leads. Let's take all these leads, let's run them through a call center, which my family, happen to own a call center. Let's run all the leads through a call center, have everything, hire all the guys, schedule all the dates for all the appointments, and we'll just run through them. And what we'll do is we'll, 10x your company. And we didn't have a lot of bites. We had one particular person, one company bite. He said, okay, let's do it. His attorney said, don't do it. He's like, I'm going to do it. And then he gave us a yes. Go, let's get the contracts. Let's get everything printed. And then he called us on Sunday, the next day, and says, I can't do it.
Yeah,
and we were excited.
Yeah,
we were excited. We were celebrating. We were like, yeah, we're going to do a joint venture. We're going to do a joint venture with somebody. And so we were just kind of beaten down, at that point. So we're like, okay, well, what's the next step? So we went back and we revisited 2 other roofers. And one of the roofers was one of the largest roofing companies in the Rio Grande Valley. And I'm not going to say his name. But the story is pretty well known now by the community. And so I told him, I was like, look, I was like, I really want to partner with you. I know you have more leads. We can help you with your business. We'll get this percentage. And I was like, because if you don't do this, I'm going to be forced to do something that's going to make me your biggest competitor, and you're not going to like it. And he puts his arm around me and says, you're funny. I like you. I was like, you're not going to like me when I do it. And that's exactly what I did, and he hates me to this day.
Nice. So you started a company?
But you know what's crazy? I think he respects me now because he actually purchases material at my supply company.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So does his brother, the two main roofers.
Nice.
And so I've built something to where.
How long you been there?
As far as the supply?
No. So you started a roofing company in Mcallen.
Yes.
After they told you fuck off.
Yes.
And you told them fuck you.
Yes.
Nice.
So basically since 2012.
Oh, nice.
And how we got the business off the ground is from the guy that I had hired for the SEO in Arizona taught me SEO. I was on the phone with him every single day until that actually became a success. And so I took those same things and I'm like, well, I can't afford to hire him, but I can do it myself. And so I literally spent 20 hours a day. I went down I literally drove from Phoenix, straight there. I had $500 in my pocket. I spent like $354 on gas. I had nothing, like literally. And I was just extremely thin, probably 20 pounds, lighter than I am now. And I was just trying to make it work, but I had a vision, I had a dream. And, eventually that became, my reality. But when we got started, I got the phone to ring. So I was just on the internet constantly. I'd look at, okay, where are my competitors here advertising? Where are they online? So I basically made a list of every single place that they're listed. I did the same thing. And magically, after about 8 days after being listed on Google, we ended up getting phone calls. First, a couple phone calls a day, then through, 4 or 5 phone calls a day, and 15, 20 phone calls a day. And that's when it really tipped. And when we sold our first job, we were just like, holy shit, like we did this. It was amazing. And that, that's history. So
Google changes the rules from time to time.
It really does.
It's kind of a pain in the ass. You can't build a business on one leg. The point is sometimes there's casualties at war, and the name of the game is you build your business until it breaks and you rebuild it.
That's it.
And the reality is like just me. I'm Mr. Facebook with videos, but when it comes down to it, Google is king on the internet. And right now, Google's just changed it to where you have to be more deliberate and that it's harder to game the system, but you still can get badass results with SEO. But without going too much into detail, talk to me a little bit about that map.
Okay. Do you want me to mention the program?
Well, just talk to me about the Google Maps in general, how it works, and then essentially, then we'll get into the program. Don't give them too many secrets because your SEO secrets you can put in your course.
No, that's fine. As far as the maps are concerned, back in the day it was, okay, Google wants to make sure that you're relevant, right? And how do they score your relevance, right? And it's where you're listed on trusted sites, right? So there's trusted sites. There's about 350, trusted sites that Google looks at and says, okay, well, they're here, so they're relevant, right? And if somebody else isn't there and they have less relevance, obviously they're not going to put them above somebody that's relevant. That's really the name of the game. Make sure you have content that relates to what the user is trying to search. So, if someone's searching roofing and you have roofing 100 times on your website and somebody has it 3 times, who's more relevant? You are. And so you're going to end up getting the phone calls. And that's where it's valuable. And if you can get those phone calls and turn that into revenue, then you really have something special.
Amen.
So, yeah.
And the point is that we're here right now, and really what I've modeled most, I've got this big picture vision. You're like, Lee, why do you want to be bigger than ABC Supply? I'm like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. It's a modern day story where they started as roofers. And I don't know if you know the story of ABC Supply, but I'll quickly tell it. There was a roofing family that did a lot of, big commercial jobs, and there's a big hailstorm in Wisconsin, and they really capitalized and did a crap load of jobs and invested their money into real estate, multifamily, and grew their relationships with real estate, and had an opportunity at time to purchase manufacture like a bunch of plants. They were getting out of distribution, the manufacturers were. So the owner took all the money pretty much from payroll and everything and invested in all this real estate deal to the point where the next week they couldn't make payroll. And essentially the long story short is that year after year, there would be storms. ABC Supply would open up a new location around the storms. They would buy the real estate. And they knew that the stormers, the roofing and restoration guys would pay the bill. And as they, got better at the system and obviously business, they had more locations, and they became, because it's not just about getting the clients, it's about being able to deliver good customer service, which they do, in which they offer good credit, which they do. But, essentially throughout the middle of this, the husband and patriarch, he died. Right. And she took over, and they've continued to grow now to over 700 locations. Yeah. And what'd you say her net worth was?
I think it's like 4.9 billion.
Yeah, $1 billion. And, there's no stock market exchange, no private equity bank that involved just a family. And I think it's a pretty cool story. I think it's the definition of the American dream. And I know she's a good woman who gives back in her community, but a ruthless business in its sense, because when you opened your supply company, tell us a little story about your supply company. It's humble beginnings and your battle with ABC Supply.
Well, actually, the first issue I had with ABC Supply actually started with the fact that our company, purchased enough materials to win a trip for ABC Supply. But they went ahead and gave my business partner the trip, even though I'm the reason why they were purchasing from ABC Supply, because I got offended.
Yeah, that happened
I'm like,
to me
so you're
recently.
going to give my business partner a trip without even asking us who you're going to give it to? You just put it in his name. And I never purchased from ABC Supply since that day.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and another thing is when we are a distributor of actually roof coatings and modified bitumens.
What's the name of your supply company?
It's Budget Roofing Supply.
And when did you create that?
So Mcallen Valley Roofing was actually a distributor of this product. We were set up as a distributor, and we actually had exclusive rights in South Texas. They wrote us exclusive rights to this product. Well, ABC Supply caught wind of the fact that we were actually using and selling their product, and we were actually a distributor. And that was as Mcallen Valley Roofing. And they're like, there's no way. And they started spying on our warehouse and taking pictures and sending it to the manufacturer. And then they ended up saying, okay, if you continue to sell material directly to Mcallen Valley Roofing, we're not going to buy your product nationwide.
Big bank beat little bank. Big bank beat little bank.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening is they ended up getting rid of the product out of their warehouse. And I wrote the general manager. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you remove yourself from something that could be profitable for you? Beat me at my game. Just beat me at my game. Business is, you take care of people, you do right by them, and you don't screw them over, you got business. You got good customer service, you got the business. Beat me at my game. It's just a product. That's it. Well, I was like, okay. So my business partner and I were like, hey, let's go look for a warehouse. Let's get it out of our warehouse. I don't want to, completely piss off ABC Supply. So we literally go across the street. We look for a warehouse, and we're like, okay, we didn't find anything. It's kind of just a gut feeling. Hey, let's go across the street and see if all these warehouses, have any space. Maybe we can just borrow some space, get the product out of our warehouse. And so what we did is we came into work the next day. We didn't find anything that day. And we walk straight out in front of our office, out of our roofing company. It has a huge for lease sign. And we're like, no way. If this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. I was like, are you kidding me? And they had 7,500 square feet. And I literally I called up and I'm like, hey, Alfredo, I was like, you're not going to believe this. You need to come over here. And he looks at the sign. He's like, dude, that's a sign. Let's get this place. So we call up the owner, and we did a little negotiations. We haven't taken it right away. We didn't even think about it. We're like, this is a sign. And we ended up moving all our product over there. And we started with, roof coating, silicone, acrylic, fabrics, modified bitumens, and stuff like that. And, it went well. But what we ended up figuring out was, people wanted shingles. They wanted complements. The average day roofer in the Rio Grande Valley or down there isn't just a commercial roofer. They do both. And it makes it much more easier if they can go to one supply house, get all their residential and their commercial products. And so, that was kind of the next phase in our business. And that's what ended up really kind of propelling us to be more successful and make more money. So.
Well, in a year of material shortages and continued price increases and like the age of not being able to even get TPO, you positioned yourself in a place where you were a nobody in Mcallen back in 2011. And now you have a very dominant roofing company. I mean, what would you say?
I would say, we're able to control our process. One of the biggest problems that I have with suppliers, and one of the things that really fueled me to get my own delivery trucks, is when I'm on a job and I have a client like, hey, why are these guys laying on my front lawn waiting for product in the heat? Like, where's my material for my roof? And you got a pissed off client, you got a pissed off crew. It's pulling you back from actually being able to complete what you need to get completed. And I just got sick of it. Them saying they're going to be there at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning and they're there at 2 to 4 o'clock. That doesn't work for me. We got another job tomorrow, and it just kept dragging on jobs, pushed back caused internal frustration with our own employees, had to make more phone calls that was just completely unnecessary. I mean, you know what? I'm going to build a business where we're on time, and we're on time every time. We get there earlier than anybody. We get the trucks strapped up, and we're in and out, and we get it there, as we would expect if it was our company for them.
Well, that's pretty badass, man. I mean, I know that it's always something for us in a hurricane that we want to kind of implement.
Yeah.
And here in Naples, we've started with our own underlayment and stuff, sort of like one step at a time, but the reality is I'd like to have a supply company in each location servicing members of the Roofing Professionals Network. And, we're working on something big. And when it comes to really helping roofers get into the solar business, I mean, the modern day gold rush isn't just home service industry and roofing. It's the redistribution of wealth and the fact
That's
that
right.
people can, not only own their own power, but save money month one, get access to insane tax rebates. Before this new regime of leadership, we didn't know how long the tax rebates were going to last, but now we got 4 to 8 more years of Green Deal incentivized solar movement. And solar is something, I was in Costa Rica, and it's even in a place like Costa Rica, they understand that it's better for the environment. It's
right.
more efficient. And so I believe that America's moving to that place, and it's insane for roofers to not sell solar.
Yeah, separating ourselves from fossil fuels as much as possible. Yeah.
The reality is though that what do you think is the biggest thing about roofers, the hardest part for roofers to start selling solar?
I think it comes down to the actual training and understanding. I think once they learn how the solar system works, I think that's probably the biggest challenge. The same thing if someone from the solar industry came into the roofing, what's their biggest challenge to be able to come into our business? It's knowing how the business works and understanding how the install works and what the expectations would be.
Last year we installed our first 25 solar projects, and this year solar's been something that, as there were 7 hurricanes, got put on the back burner a little bit, that I'm looking to scale. But the reality is that getting a roofing salesman to sell solar, you have to actually commit, and you have to make it easy for the guys to be able to plug in.
There has to be a company commitment. I mean, that has to be just part of the atmosphere. we do this and we do this, and here's why. Because solar is extremely profitable business to get into. And in my opinion, it's almost more profitable than roofing. When you're talking about, to scale, in an average, $50,000 to $70,000 job, roofing, the commission is much smaller than on the side of the, on the solar side. And so you combine those two, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, the reality is that me and Brian are working on some stuff for training that isn't just about solar, but it comes down to the grassroots of what Brian feels is an epidemic, which is bad workmanship and a misunderstanding of how actual roofing is supposed to be done. Where you are down in Mcallen, you see the people come right through and what gets put on a roofing crew. And so,
what's a kick-out flashing? I don't know what a kick-out flashing is.
Right.
And it's just something so simple. Yeah. I mean, people, we have this facade and we think, okay, they're a roofer. They're going to know everything about a roof. But that just isn't the case. It's like saying, hey, you're an adjuster. You know everything about a roof just because you're an adjuster.
Well, I mean, that's why people say subcontractors are bad. Okay, here's the deal. Well, we've been doing it for so long. Subcontractors inherently make a lot of mistakes. However, when your network
so do employees.
Exactly.
It all comes down to one thing.
Yeah.
Expectations and training.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, we talk about production management, our quality control guy, but, we give toolbox talks, we have trainings, meetings, but, we create video training for salespeople, but I haven't made the Spanish video training for roofers, and it's been on my mind about doing it. And here you come saying, this is what you're working on. So I thought, what a great partnership and a platform to work together. And so, me and Brian are working on bringing training for all the installers, all the roofing contractors. And the reality is that the big picture mission is better customer service for our clients. Because it's embarrassing whenever the roofers make us. I had a guy, he was the CEO of ITT Tech, and it was just when I got here, right, in Florida. Basically, one of the first roofs in Marco Island, I was roofing. And I built such a great relationship with him, there was 4 different roofers that bid for it. It was like a $200,000 roof. And, I was only as good as my subs then. And basically, we were a little rookie when it came to installing tile roofs. Mm-hmm. But we knew how to do them. And there were mistakes made in how the underlayment was done. We had to redo the underlayment. We looked like a monkey humping a football. We had to come back. This guy had like this inspector that he hired, and he had us redoing like 30% of the fucking tiles. And basically, I made no money. I got no referral, and I fucked up a friend. I'm in a blue-collar business school, and I had this guy who created ITT Tech, and now it's like he doesn't think I'm cool anymore, Yeah. That happens when you don't have educated crews.
Yeah.
And, of course, we educated that crew by firing their ass and bringing more trained crews in as we were longer, more established here in Naples. Yeah. But preventing those issues from happening a lot of times makes you a lot of money.
Yeah, clear expectations, like I said. And you can have clear expectations with the crews, but the problem is most people that is say, hey, I got a job for you. Here's the scope of work. Now go. They never actually sit down with the crew and say, this is what you need to do step by step. This is my expectation of you. And nobody does that. And that's the biggest problem in our industry, and then we get disgruntled at them for not doing what we expect when we never even gave them the expectations.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. But and most of the time the salesperson's not good at inspecting the work. They don't know about what's going on either. And that's another thing that, you brought as a very core value to training. I mean, we teach the components. We teach the damage inspection. A lot of my folks.
But the thing is, the inspection shouldn't be held by the project manager. It'd be held by the actual crew. He should be held responsible for all his line items, do his checklist. Now, if we want to have a quality control manager, do a checklist right next to him to hold the crew accountable for his actual job, but actually give us a list of all the photos of the actual completion of the items that we request of him. That holds the actual crew accountable for their actual work. And when I used to work in Chicago, I used to pay just a little bit more to the crew. If we got no complaints, we had no problems. Guess what happened? I had no complaints, and I had no problems.
Well, I was looking at your checklist, and we use checklists, but you've got a lot of fucking detail, and more importantly, it's about holding people accountable to that stuff. It's
That's
one
right.
thing to have a process. It's another thing to actually stand behind it. I can tell
by side, yeah.
how passionate you are about holding people accountable in that
Absolutely.
line. And I think that's what contractors need for more sustainable, consistent customer service. You know, I can tell you, if you've been watching this video, this guy Brian is knocking it out of the park. But the program that we have working for the roofing industry that allows any roofing company to get into the solar business from the power of their cell phone,
It's absolutely amazing.
Well, for me, look, I'll be honest with you. You know, getting into the business here, wanted to work around with some local players, some guys that were, you know, installing solar, detaching and resetting solar for me. We went into a partnership. It was great, you know, and I've dabbled with building out, you know, all of my solar locations. But, you know, what I've found is this platform is an opportunity to just sell, take 70% of the profit that I would make if I would build it all on my own.
Which I think any salesperson would want.
Yeah, and then have everyone involved in it to be a part of one big team that is making a difference for the blue collar American dream, and that's what the Blue Collar American Dream Tour is going to be about. And I'm going to be going to San Antonio now. There's another added stop to the tour. So far this morning, I added Houston, San Antonio, and Austin to the tour.
Love it.
So
Austin's big.
And what that means is that Brian's going to be speaking. I'm going to be speaking. We're going to get real estate experts. We're going to get other personal development experts, and we're going to be talking about how to fix big problems for big paychecks, how the modern day gold rush is in the home service industry. Whether you're in solar, you're in roofing, you're in general contracting, it doesn't matter. What matters is you learn the skills that pay the bills, and you hook up with the right people, and you come to our event when we come to your town. All right, guys. So, Brian, thank you for coming into the Blue Collar Boardroom, man. This is going to be the first interviews of many. And everybody that's been watching this, if you want to be involved with our solar movement, you're a roofing company, you want to get into the solar business, look, comment Sky Diamond Solar below, and what we'll do is we'll get you on a Zoom call with me, with Brian, and we'll give you all the details on how your roofing company can be making 70% profits in solar like this week. So I look forward to talking with you. Guys, like and subscribe. This guy right here is a definition of a blue-collar entrepreneur. How old are you, bro?
I'm 36.
He's 36 years old. He went from salesperson to owner. Now he's into multiple businesses. And, for every young blue collar entrepreneur, it's about always getting better. If you're not growing, you're dying. But it's also about when you get to the highest point in business, that you be humble enough to learn from everybody, that you realize, who you can team up with, collaborate to dominate. And so me and Brian, we're going to be working together because we have really complementary offers to the market. And so I look forward to helping you in San Antonio. I look forward to seeing everybody down there. Cool. And if you want to get into the solar, type in Sky Diamond Solar. We look forward to helping you out. All right, till next time. See ya.